Hello and welcome to Movie Film Studios, the only podcast that takes you inside the mind of two film studio executives as we unravel and then re-ravel the best that Hollywood has to offer. I'm Isaac.
And I'm AJ, and this week in our Geek-tacular Comic-Con special, we reactivated our radioactive iguana to take on dastardly Nazis who are conducting experiments on water-based superheroes. But before we get into something new, it's time for something old as we check in on our last feature in Box Office Report. Now, last episode, we released the Scandinavian, I believe you deemed it.
Yep.
Drama.
It's a crossover old person romantic comedy /
Yes.
action thriller set in a ski town lakeside resort in Finland.
Was it Finland or Norway? Norway sounds about right.
Norway sounds better.
I think Norway was the one. Yes, called Lake Triangle.
Yes.
Which means triangle in Finnish? Danish?
Don't tell them that. That's the secret hidden meaning.
Oh, fair
like
enough.
Vader means father in Dutch or whatever,
Really?
that hidden secret meaning is.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So we did really, really, really well out of this, but we didn't actually release a film.
Really?
Yeah. So here's what happened. When word got out that we wanted to produce a film in Norway, and also word got out with that we'd slagged off, I think, Sweden in that episode.
Sweden, Iceland, Denmark,
Yeah.
they all got a bit of the boot.
They got hammered. It didn't actually offend them. It actually started a huge bidding war to see which country would host the film. So we were getting offers from every single Scandinavian country. The offers were flying in. The amount of lakes offered to us for us to do what we wanted to them was insane. They were like, take our greatest lake, blow it up, drain it, change the color of it, do whatever you want, just host the film here. But the problem is, they all backed out at one point. They all just said, no, we don't want to borrow this. And it's when they found out that the cast was made up primarily of the Skarsgård family.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, I didn't know this, but the Skarsgårds in Scandinavia are a bit of a high-ranking, mysteriously, kind of like a mafia-style family. And the governments of the Scandinavian countries want nothing to do with anything related to the Skarsgård clan. And our film was filled with Skarsgård cast members. So I was just like, oh no, we've lost it. We've lost everything. We're not going to make our film. We're not going to, more importantly, not going to earn any money out of this. But we got rescued at the last minute by an American company who wanted to do an American remake of our film. So they've bought the rights for an astronomical amount of money. The company is Cigars and Cards.
Cigars and Cards.
Yep.
All right, yeah. I've heard that. They do film noir, sort of like, there's that smoky, gambly kind of feel. That's where you get the cigars and you also get the cards.
That's right. So yeah, this mysterious company, I have no idea who they are. They've decided we're going to buy the rights to this film. Yep, it's the Cigars and Cards production company, and they're going to do the American remake of Lake Triangle.
Oh, good. You say the Skarsgårds have this sort of very, clandestine mafioso.
Yeah, very shady, apparently.
I've heard some rumours that, because, Alexander Skarsgård played a vampire on True Blood.
Yes.
And Peter Sarsgaard played like a immortal demonic clown in It.
Yep.
This is just between you and I.
Yeah, of course.
It can't go out anywhere. I've heard that they may actually be an immortal group of families, sort of the Dracula style, living in a castle. Everyone sort of steers clear because they know that there's something inherently wrong. And they all sort of live. So, but just don't tell anyone that I said that.
It won't leave this boardroom.
I hadn't realized they were so feared. I think they may even be one of the Brothers Grimm stories. I think mentions the word Skarsgård.
Really?
I think that's the first mention in published literature, and that's going back to the 1600s. So
we're really diving into the rabbit hole here.
Yeah.
Oh, well, anyway, so Cigars and Cards production company is going to make a film, and they're going to cast all Skarsgårds.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. It's just the way it is. All right, on to this week in trailers.
Indeed.
And as I mentioned, it is a Comic-Con special. Comic-Con was last week, maybe?
This week? Still going? Does it go for a day? Does it go for 5 days?
Goes for a week. Goes for about a week, I think.
All that we know is that as soon as Comic-Con rolls around, the trailers start flowing and our ideas start percolating.
That's right, they do. Didn't seem like Disney and Marvel had any kind of presence this year, mainly because they've probably released every single film they're going to release this year. So
it's just like we've already got all the money.
Yeah. So it was a bit of a Warner Brothers fest this time round. Our most favourite set of brothers. So the first film to kick off this episode is Godzilla, King of the Monsters, a sequel to the 2014 film Godzilla, and I guess a sort of sequel to that horrible Kong Skull Island.
Skull Island, yeah, that's what they called that thing.
Which is all meant to be in this kind of shared universe thing.
Giant monster. What would they call that?
Titans, I think they called them in this trailer. Yeah,
because I mean, there's a whole bunch of worlds. So we have Dark Universe, which is the reboot of like Invisible Man.
That's gone.
You have what the new Harry Potter trailer, which we won't talk about. Wizarding World is its own brand.
Yep.
For the film setting. Then you've got Titans. You've got
the Marvel Cinematic Universe,
DC Universe, which we'll talk about in a bit. And this one's
Warner Brothers has this thing whereby they want to have the same kind of huge universe that Disney has with Star Wars and Marvel, but they just want to shortcut the whole thing and just so Marvel spent the greater part of a decade building this huge universe, and you get those really nice kind of moments in the later films where characters that have never interacted with each other before start interacting with each other. Warner Brothers is like, we want those moments too, but we're going to do it in one film instead. And that's what Godzilla seems to be as well.
But you say that, they don't have any of the same characters. I think you mentioned Ken Watanabe sort of comes back.
Yeah.
But, no Bryan Cranston, no Aaron Johnson, no Elizabeth Olsen, one of the Olsens.
Yeah, one of the Olsens. And did you mention the guy?
Aaron Johnson.
Yeah.
Who they are brother and sister in one of the Marvel films. Let's not talk. We've talked about that before. It's weird.
No Bryan Cranston either, annoyingly, even because he dies in that film.
I mean, I did anyway. It doesn't matter. This is the weird thing that I find about this film is Millie Bobby Brown, who's the girl from Stranger Things, features really heavily in this trailer.
Yep.
The last actor, who was Bryan Cranston, who featured really heavily in a Godzilla trailer, died about 15 minutes in. I'm scared. I'm scared they're going to kill off Millie Bobby Brown's character.
She doesn't say anything in the trailer either, which really doesn't bode well for her presence for the rest of the film. So I think one of the big complaints about the 2014 Godzilla film was that Godzilla doesn't appear in it that much, and there's not much Godzilla action in it.
No.
And I think they've really counteracted that by just loading every monster in the Godzilla universe into this film.
Yeah. And these are monsters that are specifically from the Godzilla universe.
Yes.
They're your Mothras, and that's the only one that I know. but they're definitely King Three-Headed Dragon is apparently Godzilla's greatest foe, and he shows up in this one.
Yep. With any luck, it won't go down the 2014 Godzilla, which was full of unnecessary human drama and just more giant monsters beating the crap out of each other. That would be very nice.
And also, now that we know that Godzilla can shoot blue lightning out of his throat, and we don't have to wait 90 minutes into the film to reveal he has a superpower to take down the bad guys.
Just do it at the start.
Just do it right at the start.
Right at the start, yep. It's like that. It's like Pacific Rim, where all the giant robots have this great sword that cuts the monsters in half really easily, but they only use it 70 minutes into the film.
Yeah.
It's what are you waiting for?
It is the Power Rangers model. It's just call Megazord first. Just we know you're going to have to, why not? It's not like that you've got a finite resource here where the moment you have to dispense a token every time you call Megazord, and you've only got 100 tokens. So let's just see if we can beat him this time without it. Just call him to start.
Just call him now, yeah. I mean, how great it would it be just Megazord just steps on the normal sized enemies, and then that's it.
And that's done.
Episode over.
It's just them hanging out.
And it's just Rita Repulsa back up in whatever planet she's on, just going, oh shit.
Exactly.
Didn't count for that. All right, next film, or two films I should say, on this week's episode.
Yeah, so it's DC's expansion of their own universe.
Yes.
We'll lump them together. They're two very different films.
Very different, yes. So they are Aquaman and Shazam.
That was a really weird pronunciation. Shazam. It's Shazam.
Shazam.
Shazam!
Yeah, not based on the popular music listening app. Of the same
And
name.
also not based on the... I want to say Shaquille O'Neal genie film of the same name. Was that Shazam? Was it Kazam?
Or something like that. Had a ham on the end of it. Whatever it was.
I actually, there's a point in this one where I thought it was going to be Space Jam 2, and I'm not sure why. And then it turned out that it was Shazam. I'm like, I still don't think those two ideas are mutually exclusive.
No, and I think part of the reason why you thought that is because, like, the Shazam film starts off as a kind of typical. I mean, it's almost like an indie film with like two young kids. One's an orphan, moving into a new foster family.
He's got a crutch, so he's slightly disabled, and it's like, oh, we're going to go to a new school.
Yep.
And the school bullies pick on the slightly disabled kid. And,
Yeah.
oh, I wish life was more like comic books.
Yeah, and then.
Cue the event where life becomes more like comic books, where some guy just gives the kid the ability to say the word Shazam, and he turns into a buff superhero.
Yeah, and the design of this superhero, who's played by, who was it? Zachary
Levi.
Zachary
from
Levi.
Chuck, and he's the voice of the thief in Tangled. I'd say Prince, but I think it's anyway.
Fair enough. The design of this character as well is like super insanely buff. Like, he's clearly wearing a bodysuit of some kind.
And it looks
like that.
It looks like they've got foam inserts to give him biceps.
Yeah. It's the same thing they did for Ben Affleck in Batman, but this looks far worse. And his costume is like bright red and has blue highlights on it and has like a lightning bolt.
Giant yellow.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it's probably one of the most faithful to the comic book representations of a comic book suit. It's not like, Man of Steel, where it's like, instead of just like being blue cotton, it's like, oh no, it's some sort of like neoprene scaly armor thing,
hyperspace material or something. Whatever. So I should also mention that, I mean, I know nothing about Shazam the character, but the kid turns into an adult as well when he becomes Shazam. Yeah, there's a little cute interplay here between Shazam, who is an adult but is essentially a kid as well. So they're doing the same body swap thing that we did last week.
He goes and buys beer when clearly they're underage. He is chatting up girls like, hey, I'm a superhero in a way that only like a 14 or 15-year-old kid who didn't know how to talk to girls would do. You
know what this film is? It's like Deadpool for 13-year-olds.
Yeah, it's Deadpool meets Big. Yeah. And like every step along the way DC does is trying to do what Marvel has already done and just doing it worse.
Way
and
worse.
So this is like, 5 years late for Deadpool.
Yep.
It's irreverent. It's like a winker. We know that he's a superhero because superheroes exist in this world kind of thing. And it just doesn't feel good.
This is like the family-friendly version of Deadpool, where there's no gratuitous violence, there's no swearing, there's no anything. It's very PG friendly.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of Kick-Ass, and it's kind of weird that Mark Strong shows up as the bad guy in this film as well.
Yep, it's Kick-Ass but crap.
Yeah, the reason it's so strange is that DC have so many precedents. They have so many examples that they can copy and go, let's just make this better. But instead, they miss the mark.
They completely miss the mark, and I mean. I read an article recently it's been 10 years since The Dark Knight came out, believe it or not. And the article basically said, like, the only thing that Warner Brothers has really learnt from The Dark Knight is, like, grit, grit, grit. And that's it. Nothing else. No, no beautiful build-up of characters, no detailed world. No, just grit. And I mean, to switch gears for a second to head into our second film, Aquaman, that's exactly what they're doing. It's just grit, grit, grit. Forget about like anything that resembles a decent story. Just chuck in a whole bunch of like what is apparently a nice looking frame or a nice looking image, and then chuck in a couple of weird quips every now and then, and then you're done.
So where Shazam is just a direct copy of Deadpool, Aquaman's a direct copy of Thor.
It's Water Thor.
It is Water Thor. He is a god who is trying to live his life on Earth, and he has to get called back to his kingdom because there's some sort of big infighting
with his half brother.
Oh god.
Yep.
This is just balls to the wall CGI. Like it's just, I mean, there's most of the shots in this, like, there is not a single frame that has been shot on a camera. It is all generated inside of a computer. Whether it's giant sea turtles fighting giant sharks, fighting giant squids, whether it's a giant tsunami where he's throwing his lightning trident through a... I don't know what's the tsunami made out of, fish or something? I couldn't even tell you what they are. Some sort of aquatic-based threat.
I think the worst part of it is they do this bit in the trailer where it's when Aquaman was a kid. So Aqua Kid, I guess.
Yeah.
And he's on a field trip to the aquarium, and it looks like he's talking to fish. And we watched this trailer after the Shazam one, but it does the exact same thing here where like two bullies who are boys obviously start picking on him as well. And it's just like, you're just repeating the same thing over and over again. But then like this shark rams the wall of the aquarium like really aggressively and starts cracking the glass. And then the next shot is like all the creatures in the tank sort of swarming near Aquaman, and Aquaman's sort of just standing there looking very, I don't know, heroic or something.
He blinks and then his eyes are yellow and we're like, oh, you're the real king of the ocean.
That's right.
I don't know what you're trying to do.
So horrendously fake.
Yes. I don't know. I think all the good computer-generated animators must be working for Marvel or Disney. Disney's probably... I really can't blame DC. No. They're going, we want something good. No, Disney's bought it all. Disney owns it all. We can't get any good computer graphic animators.
Yeah, we got nothing.
Why don't we get some more? I know Pixar's got them, but they're also owned by Disney.
Exactly. All right, that's enough of the DC universe for now, thankfully. Let's change gears very slightly and go to the J.J. Abrams universe in Overlord. This is a J.J. Abrams produced and, I guess, original idea by film. So
J.J. Abrams and Billy Ray,
yes.
Not heard of Billy Ray before, but he wrote the screenplay, apparently did a brainstorming session with J.J. Abrams.
Yep.
This one opens up very much like it's just going to be a World War II film.
A bad one at that.
It's the classic, we're on a planes, we're going to have to parachute in.
Yep.
2/3 of the people who are coming in are not going to make it to the ground.
Yep.
We land on the ground. It's all a bit, how are we going to survive behind enemy lines?
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here going, I've seen this film before. It's been done very, very, very well by Steven Spielberg at least 3 times. What are you bringing to the table? And then zombies come along, and it's the German Nazi scientists have been doing tests to try and prolong the lives of their soldiers, and that's resulted in zombies. And so you have this sort of small group of American soldiers behind enemy lines inside a secret military torture base, fighting an army of zombies.
Yep. Everyone's sort of heard those folk tales of like the secret Nazi experiments during World War II where they were, messing with the occult. I mean, most of like Last Crusade was based around that
Captain
premise.
America, Winter Soldier. I mean, all of the Captain Americas, I think, are based around that.
Yeah.
So Wonder Woman's based around that.
That's true, yeah.
It's a pretty common theme apparently.
Yeah. So this is basically what that film is, and you see the results of the Nazi experimentation on the undead, and I believe there's like some ancient, probably Egyptian. Let's not.
Yeah, Book of the Dead probably.
Yeah, why not?
Does this count for the Dark Universe bet then?
No. So yeah, I mean, it could be a bit freaky as well. I think they're going for more of a horror aesthetic as well, but horror action, is that a thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah. Oh, look, I actually, to be fair, about a minute in, I'm just like, if this doesn't do something a little bit different, a little bit original, there's no way I'm going to see that. And then literally that moment in the trailer, it did that something a little bit original. It kind of looks all right. It doesn't have any well-known actors in it at all.
No.
Which I think is sort of really lowers the stakes.
Yep.
The people who wrote and directed it, with the exception of J.J. Abrams, are kind of names that you haven't heard of. So, I mean, it has the potential to be good, and then you also has an excuse for being bad. So,
you can really
lower the expectations. You can always enjoy it a little bit more.
All right, those are the 4 trailers for this week's episode. But of course, before we can do anything with those, we're going to take a little walk over to the green room.
All right. Yeah. Let's do a small recap of what we've got this week. We have a sequel to a giant kaiju monster film.
Yep.
We have expansions on a cinematic universe, which are just bad versions of other expansions on a similar superhero universe.
Yep.
And finally, we have a genre mashup, action plus horror, which in this case is war plus zombie.
Historical action, drama, horror. Yep. Now, I believe that I chose in last week's episode, so it is, of course, your turn. What do you think?
I want to do the action plus horror.
All right.
I think that is the most original one there.
It is.
I think that it offers quite a lot, and I mean, I'm going to put the thing down. The horror is going to be zombies.
Yep.
It is. I mean, we've seen with Shaun of the Dead that comedy and zombies. We've seen with this one that action and zombies can exist.
Yep.
We've seen with Warm Bodies that romance and zombies can exist.
This
like
is true.
Everything seems to be pairing up with. Let's take it it doesn't have to be an action.
Yep.
It has to be a genre that doesn't normally have zombies in it.
Yep.
And there are zombies in it.
So we're well, let's think about them as well, because there's also been period zombies, because I believe
Pride and Prejudice
and zombies was a thing. Historical zombies? Have we done that?
Ooh.
I mean, Overlord kind of does that, but I'm thinking more ancient history.
So we could. The Mummy does that a little bit. Have there ever been zombies in space?
No. Sci-fi zombies.
Sci-fi zombies?
That's something about that sounds...
Event Horizon has sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
But I don't
Sunshine has sci-fi horror as well, but that's, I mean, not really zombies.
Not really zombies.
So
what was the Iron Skies? Was that just Nazis in space?
I think that was Nazis in space.
Also have any zombie element to it? Or maybe I'm just conflating.
I think it had dinosaurs in it, but...
Oh, right. Nazi... No, I think you're thinking Nazi dinosaurs in space is Cretaceon and the Seed of Life. That's one of our films.
Yeah, good point. Zombies in space.
Zombies in space.
That sounds great. I like that. This, I'm sure Neil deGrasse Tyson has talked about this at some point as well, but... Which is great, so we need to get him on board as a science advisor. He's just going to suck all the fun out of it, though, because that's what he does for a living. All right. Zombies in space. Oh, man, okay. How about this? Why don't we do it also historical? Why don't we set it, and this is a thing that, alternate history. It's 1969, I want to say.
Yes, sure. That
Apollo 11.
Yep.
What if they didn't just see a bunch of moon rocks on the moon?
Is this not the opening sequence to one of the Transformers films?
It is, but...
It's like, we're now going dark, and then Neil Armstrong discovers Transformers on the moon.
All right, here's a better idea then. Apollo 13.
Apollo 13?
Yeah. So, Apollo 13 was the mission where something went wrong with the oxygen supply.
Yeah, Jim Lovell and Kevin Bacon had to survive in space.
Kevin Bacon didn't go to space. Wasn't he left behind?
No, Gary
Sinise. Poor guy, he got a cold. So what if we tell the untold true story of Apollo 13? Space zombies.
Space zombies.
Ate the breathing
I actually
tank.
Interesting. Because I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before.
Yep.
Gravity, the film with Sandra Bullock, gives me such fear watching that of being stranded and alone in space. The only thing that could be more daunting is if you get stranded and alone, that you're going to get eaten by zombies as well.
That's right. Yeah. I like this idea. And maybe, I mean, do our zombies need oxygen to breathe?
I don't think so.
All right.
I think they're kind of partially frozen in the 0 Kelvin atmosphere. I'm not sure we can do Ocean 13, Apollo 13, just because I kind of feel as though there needs to be some sort of better space technology.
So you want to set it more in the future?
No, I kind of want to do Thunderbirds, which is the same technology where it's just giant thin rockets of the Apollo era, but they have more capabilities of flying through space and performing more sort of actions.
So it's that kind of aesthetic, but the imagined future aesthetic.
The imagined future with a Thunderbird style, but still live action people, space zombie adventure.
Yeah. Beautiful. I mean, are we taking the horror out of this, or is it still going to be horror?
No, definitely horror. Definitely. I think there's got to be a moon base. I think that's that's a given.
Yep.
There's some sort of regular space shuttle between the moon base and Earth.
Yep.
And they're in that sort of Apollo style long rocket kind of thing.
Yep.
And there's definitely zombies, some sort of. Did they find some sort of zombie virus on the moon?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
There's some sort of like they're digging into the core of the moon to try and find the water resources they need to sustain the base.
And they release spores. So like the closest things we have to zombies on Earth is sort of like a fungal infestation
that gets into an ant's brain.
Yeah, that's right, and sort of takes over. So what if it's like a moon spore?
So
they're digging around for water. And in fact, I just want to bring back the Apollo 13 idea. In our version, Apollo 13 went well.
Yes.
And this is why now we're at a stage where they can do this on the moon.
Yeah.
The tipping point was Apollo 13. If that went well...
Moon President Jim Lovell is... he's up there and he's directing everything and everything. But they think it's all going well. But really, they've unleashed... And this has got to be this moment as well where they can't let the spores get back to Earth.
Yeah.
And there's that Armageddon moment where Bruce Willis has to blow himself up to save...
Yeah, I like this. So the spores maybe take over one of the staff members and they then try to get back to Earth so that they can spread themselves around.
You say that. This is literally what the spores do to the ants. They program the ant to climb to the top of the tree to the point where when the seed grows from the ant's carcasses, it spreads its spores the furthest as it falls to the forest floor.
That's right, yeah.
And the spores have got into this person's brain. It's like, where can I spread the furthest? Well, I can spread the furthest on Earth where there are the most people.
Exactly. This is perfect. So, what do our zombies do? What is their kind of... You know how some zombies, we've got the sort of slow, shuffly zombies from like the George Romero era. We've got the super fast, like quick zombies from
28
days later. We've got the
rage zombies.
Yeah, we've got those weird zombie vampire things from the Will Smith one. Not the Omega Man, that was the actual name of the short story. Oh God, what is the name of that film?
It's one of the first films that I ever worked in a cinema.
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend. It has Redemption song, Bob Marley's Redemption song in the credits. I know that about the film. Could not remember its name. I'm actually kind of thinking maybe kind of like the ants thing. It's a little bit body snatcher-ish. Where it's really difficult to tell if people have been taken over or not. Because suddenly their brain's been reprogrammed and the reprogrammed purpose is get to Earth. And so anyone who suggests anything about getting to Earth,
they're just like, what?
There's just like a fear of like, and the only reason you can tell is like if you use a shotgun and you blow their arm off, they don't feel it and they just keep going.
And all these sort of spores leak out from the wound.
Exactly.
So this is kind of like Vincent D'Onofrio's character in Men in Black.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sugar water.
That's right, yeah. So, we need to cast him then.
Yeah. We've already got Vincent D'Onofrio and Kevin Bacon and Gary Sinise. And
perfect.
Tom Hanks played Jim Lovell, so he plays Moon President Jim Lovell, reprising his role from Apollo 13.
Can we also have, I think I'd like a twist ending as well, where Moon President Jim Lovell is the orchestrator of this dastardly plot.
But because he's the first who was exposed to the moon spores.
So he was the first one to land on the moon from the Apollo 13 mission.
Yeah.
Inadvertently was infected by the spores without anyone knowing.
And this is why he petitioned so hard to build a base on the moon.
Exactly.
Because he knew they needed a base on the moon if they were going to affect everyone back on Earth.
That's right. I'm sick of seeing Tom Hanks playing like lovable, altruistic characters. I want to see him play a completely evil bastard.
Exactly.
Who's also a moon president.
Moon President Jim Lovell. I like it. I'm still trying to puzzle out an aesthetic because it's got a horror feel to it.
Yeah.
And if you ever watch any of those like body snatcher films, like Invasion, where it's the psychological element of you don't know who to trust. How do you figure out, is there a test? Do people have to cut off their fingers just to prove that they're not spore infected? And then like you can only do that test 10 times before you're just sort of like, well, I've already proved that I'm not spore infected 10 times. Like, yeah, but you were just exposed to, you were just fighting that spore monster again.
That's right. Yeah.
Maybe you got infected. It's like I defeated it with only one finger. I've fought 9 spore monsters and I've killed them all. You're not making me cut off my last finger to prove I'm not a spore monster. Little do they know this was the time he got infected.
That's right.
And he is a spore monster.
All right, great. So how many people are up there on the moon?
I like 10.
10?
I think I always say 10 men enter, or 10 people enter, one person leaves.
Yep.
I like that kind of horror, thriller, sci-fi kind of thing.
10 people enter, one spore leaves.
Yeah, it could be. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Because, I mean, definitely Act 1 and 1's establishing the world on the moon.
Yep.
Act 2 is on moon base.
Yep.
And Act 3 is the rocket, like, they're trying to get back to Earth, but also there's people on the shuttle that are infected as well, and it becomes a bit of a
race against time to destroy themselves.
But also, like, then you get that, floating in space, the zombies not being infected by the being frozen in space, and am I going to be out here alone? Do I have to eject from this ship and blow up the thing as it re-enters? Do I kill myself? There's lots of like nifty little story points you can put there.
I've got a couple of more story points for you here. So let's say they're on the like spaceship racing back to Earth.
Yep.
It's maybe one or two uninfected people.
Yep.
Versus 2 infected people.
Oh,
so they're trying to like get control of the shuttle back from them and defeat the spore people so that they can avoid, landing on Earth. Let's say they succeed. They manage to get control of the ship.
Yep.
But one of them gets injured in the fight, and it's revealed that one person is also infected. And then they realize that they're actually all infected. So they have to then sacrifice themselves.
Yeah, I definitely the sacrifice at the end, where they're just like, the only thing we can do is kill everyone, including ourselves.
Yep.
And
can I go further twist? This is the third twist of the film so far.
Yeah.
Post-credit sequence, the debris from the crash, well, not the crash, rather, they try to burn up over through the atmosphere.
Yeah.
But because they're like frozen zombie corpses, it falls to Earth anyway as a solid piece and lands in the ocean, and you can see the spores start to spread.
That's not a bad twist. My twist, which we can also do as well, is maybe Earth people are all infected with Earth spores.
Oh, yeah.
And didn't even realize that they were spreading their Earth spores to the moon at the same time as the moon's trying to spread their spores back.
Right. So this is like a long, like millions of year old battle between like the planet Earth, the literal planet Earth, and the moon.
Yeah.
Moon.
The moon, and the moon used to be inhabited by a race of humanoid type people.
That's right. Maybe
until Earth spores wiped them all out.
All right. So in our story, life didn't start on Earth; it started on the moon.
Yes.
Instead.
Yeah.
And no one realized it. But
exactly.
That civilization, that population, was completely wiped out billions of years ago. Was buried under a whole bunch of moon dust and became spores.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back on Earth, life started there after a bit. Well, maybe like we'll go.
No. I think the super intelligent people of the moon.
Yep.
They came to Earth, and their traces left behind.
So
we're Prometheusing, aren't we? Let's scrap that. Let's scrap it. No, I can't. Anything that is vaguely Prometheus, we have to bench before it becomes horrible. In fact, there's a whole bunch of like, there was an ancient civilization on Earth beforehand, and they had all the answers. And I'm so sick of it. I'm sorry I suggested it. There is no Earth spore.
Okay, all right, no Earth spore. So we go back to the.
Is that the first bad idea we've ever had?
I
think it might
depends
be.
Who you ask.
So back to your idea, where
yes.
the chunk lands in the ocean, and it's floating along, and it's the it's like end of Aliens, where you hear the crack of the egg or whatever.
Exactly,
it's like, what could possibly happen from here?
Exactly, and that's cut to black. Roll the rest of the credits, which will just be our names repeated over and over again. Sequel.
All right, okay. Here's the part where we cast.
Yeah,
and obviously we've got Moon President Jim Lovell.
Yep.
There's other names
played by Tom Hanks.
Played by Tom Hanks. Yeah.
Are we going to get the literal?
He's probably not.
Probably not.
I mean, Buzz
he's still going,
but Neil's not so much. And
most of the astronauts actually come back and they have problems later in life due to radiation exposure. It's an actual thing that NASA has discovered. It's like, we should probably stop sending people into space.
So, I mean, we need the 10 people, of the moon base alpha or whatever.
We've got Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah.
We've got Gary Sinise. We've got Tom Hanks. We've got Who was
Because there's very older actors. We need some younger scientisty kind of people, some younger actiony kind of people.
Yep. Let's say, what about he played Finn in Star Wars?
Yeah, he's also played in KNIGHTS.
Oh yes, he was.
He played I think Arctic Fox maybe.
Yes. What was his name?
Boyega.
John Boyega. Yes. Great. Let's put him in there.
I think anyone, again, like we did with Criterion, just anyone who has space experience.
Yeah. So anyone like who's been in a film with some kind of space.
Ewan McGregor would be a good casting.
From Star Wars, yeah. Who else has been? We could put
Zoe Saldana's been in a number of space. She may have even been in Criterion as Cretaceon.
You know what we should do for Zoe Saldana as well? For no reason, make her a CGI character.
I was just going to say, why don't we make her skin red this time? Because she's been blue and green before. Why not red?
Yeah, sure. I mean, is there a justification for that?
No, not really. just because she's like, I mean, it's RGB, right? They're the three colors. If you have those Zoe Saldana playing those three colors, you can make any other color that you want.
I was going to say, if you bring together all three Zoe Saldana like versions, you'll get like a normal Zoe Saldana.
It is the pixel that makes up the true color.
That's right.
How about who else is Sigourney Weaver?
Sigourney Weaver, for
good sort of space person.
She was in last week's film too.
She was, she's
still hanging around the set, I guess.
I mean, we'll see. I'm not sure if Cigars and Cards decided to stick with that casting.
We need a super old guy. Clint Eastwood, Space Cowboys.
Clint Eastwood. That's not a bad one.
Yep.
I think really, if we're going to, I definitely said 10 people enter, one person leaves, sort of thing. But we can just keep throwing things to the wall and see whatever sticks in terms of casting.
Beautiful.
There's so many options in here.
We should actually just throw people into our casting rooms, and then whoever manages to leave is cast.
Exactly. So what we might do is actually set up like a great big soundstage moon base.
Yep.
And we just played out like it's a game. We film the whole thing, and whoever just manages to survive, they make the cut of the film.
Great.
So if who's a good example there? If Emilia Clarke from Space Solo that just came out. If she manages to survive the initial round, then we cut her into the film. But if she goes early, then you'll never know that she was in like Corridor 4 and they got overwhelmed by spore monsters. So
exactly.
So we can just put in as many people as we want, and it becomes a. Again, the word battle royale comes to mind. We obviously drink at the same well a number of times with.
Let's just call it Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies,
we'll
sure.
Go for that.
It's a Lord of the Flies style of filmmaking.
Yes,
where we don't know. Like literally, as the filmmakers, we don't know which of these actors is going to make it through to the next act of the film.
This is a thing that like auteur directors do. They make their cast or potential cast members do not just like screen tests and stuff, but they actually make them do certain exercises and like go away and write an essay or something. So this is really just the logical step. It goes screen test, essay writing, Lord of the Flies style.
Exactly.
Locked in a room.
You know what's really good about this one as well? We don't have to write a script for Act 2 until we've filmed Act 1, and we don't have to write a script for Act 3 until after Act 2, because we don't even know which character's going to make it through until after it's been filmed.
Yeah. Perfect. This is great. So we can just pretty much every single actor that's been in some kind of space film. Oh man, the Galaxy Quest cast would be great too.
Yeah. I mean, it's Sigourney Weaver again. She can be in there twice.
Tim Allen.
I think. I mean, Tim Allen. It could be anyone. We could do an open casting call, and literally all they need to do is bring in the DVD as to going. Here is the film that I was in.
Yep.
It has vaguely Dennis Quaid. What are you doing here? Well, I was in a film called Inner Space. I'm like. It has space in the title, Dennis Quaid. Yeah, that's good enough. You can be in the film.
Wasn't there one about like people at a? Well, maybe that was Event Horizon. No, that was set in space, wasn't it?
Event Horizon was set on Mars with Sam Neill and Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking of I think it's The Dish, the Australian film.
That's good enough.
Yeah, why not?
Sam Neill, he brings in The Dish. I'm like, Sam Neill, you were in Event Horizon. You could have brought us that. He's like, I know. I was trying to think outside the box. I'm like, that's exactly the kind of space survival mentality that we want from our actors. You're in, Sam Neill.
All right. Okay. Perfect. This is, I mean, casting is so hard most of the time.
Normally, if we just let the actors cast themselves,
That's right.
I think that's the way to go.
Excellent. All right, now we need to figure out the name of this film. Always our most favourite part. So what are we dealing with here? We're dealing with spores. We're dealing with zombies on the moon. We're dealing with Bruce Willis style sacrificial lamb kind of thing as well. And obviously space.
Total Eclipse.
Total Eclipse. I love it. Can we get like Bonnie Tyler to do the soundtrack as well?
No. The music for the trailer is a really toned down Total Eclipse of like
perfect. Yep.
It's got elements of Total Recall in there. It's got elements of Twilight Eclipse.
I love it. Yeah, Total Eclipse of the Heart, done by the guy that did the music for like Blade Runner as well.
Yeah.
I forgot the name, that composer. Vangelis.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like a Vangelis inversion of Total Eclipse? Yeah.
Perfect. Like electropunk.
Yep.
Like I love it. It's got a Thunderbirds electropunk.
Yep.
Future zombie.
Yep.
Space horror.
Yep.
Body snatcher.
Great.
Lord of the Flies. It's all of those elements coming together.
I can even see the poster. Right, it's a picture of like straight onto the moon, looking just right onto the moon at an eclipse.
Yep.
But instead of like the white ring that you usually see in an eclipse, it's a green ring.
Oh, because it's almost like that sun's corona is more like the spores sort of emanating from the surface.
Exactly.
And I think like you don't really see it, but there's a very sort of faint trail, and it's the spaceship sort of trying to escape from the moon.
Exactly.
And it just says Total Eclipse.
Total Eclipse. Perfect. That's such a great name for this film. It. All right. I think that's a wrap.
I think it is.
Brilliant. All right, housekeeping. As per usual, we are online at moviefilmstudios.net, where you can find all of our episodes, our bios, and of course, Mfwizawidada, our text-based database of every single film that we've created on this podcast. Search Facebook for Movie Film Studios and join the community, where Isaac sometimes puts up emoji clues as to the episodes or as to the trailers that we've watched in the upcoming episodes. This one, Godzilla, there's definitely an emoji. No, there isn't.
Is there? Big Lizard? I'm sure we can do Big Lizard somewhere.
Shazam? Just put the app icon. Aquaman, Overlord. Yeah, I'm sure you'll have
sure. There's definitely some things in there we can try and work with.
Yeah, absolutely. We are on Twitter occasionally, and of course we're on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, and any other place that you get podcasts from. If your podcast delivery method of choice allows you to rate the podcast, then hey, how about throwing us a couple of stars or stripes or I don't know, rectangular block, whatever your app uses to grade things with. It's not always a star. Give us like 5 of them. And if 5 isn't the highest mark that you can give on that platform, then give us whatever the highest one is.
Yeah.
Is it 22? I don't know. I don't know what podcast app you're using. But just do it, all right? And I think that's it.
I think all that remains is to thank you all once again for listening this week. I've been Isaac.
And I've been AJ.
Roll credits.